Hi, I'm Dean from Marksman Guide. Today we're going to show you how to properly mount a scope. One of the first decisions you have to make is what kind of rings you will use. You can either use two singular rings as a ring set or a one-piece cantilever mount. The cantilever mount is the choice we're going to use today because it affords the shooter a little more versatility in eye relief. One of the first things you want to do is place the rail onto the scope. One of the important things about doing this is making sure that it's centrally located. This will allow you to adjust for eye relief, which is a critical step later on. Once the base is in place, tighten up the bolts. One of the most important things about mounting a scope is to ensure that you use a proper torque setting set forth by the manufacturer. For the Geisley mount, they suggest 72 inch-pounds of torque for the base. Properly torquing the bolts will ensure that your scope stays zeroed. The next thing I'm going to do is place the scope into the mount. I want to make sure that the turrets are centrally located between the bottom half of the rings. Once that is accomplished, we'll set the top half of the rings onto the scope mount. For the next process, you'll need a Torx head bit to snug up the screws holding the top half of the rings to the bottom half of the mount. While doing this, it's important to make sure that the space between the top and the bottom rings is the same on both sides of the scope. The next adjustment we want to make is eye relief. That is simply moving the scope forward or rearward until when you place your cheek naturally on the rifle, you can see through the scope and get a crisp, clear view with a full field of view. If the scope is adjusted too far to the rear when you mount the gun, you're going to feel like you have to pull your head back. If the scope is adjusted too far forward when you mount the gun, you're going to feel like you have to stretch your neck forward. Your head should be in a natural position and allow you to clearly see through the scope. The next important step is to level your crosshairs. This can be done by placing a level on top of the turret or by using a plumb bob. The advantage to using a plumb bob is that you will level the crosshairs in the position you will be holding or using the rifle. Some offhand shooters do not necessarily hold the rifle perfectly square in their shoulder. Thus, by hanging a plumb bob, looking through the scope, and leveling the scope with the plumb bob in the position you're holding the rifle, you will ensure that your rifle will have a true point of impact out to greater distances. Once you have your eye relief properly adjusted and your scope leveled, it's time to torque your scope rings to the proper specifications. For this mount, it says 15 to 18 inch-pounds. Remember, when tightening scope rings, you want to use a crisscross pattern to ensure that it will stay tight and it's properly done so it doesn't crush the tube. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our channel, and comment below to tell us what you'd like to see next. We'll see you on the range.